In this video, we will be going over a quick walk around and talking about the grease points for the Taylor forklift. It is recommended by Taylor. All of the grease points on the Taylor forklift are recommended to be greased every 12 hours. That means both day and night shift should grease the forklift during their shift.
Good afternoon. I'm Richard with Taylor Servicing. Here today, I'm going to show you all some, camp points of what you need to grease on the machine, while you're out in the field operating. We got our fork bar here. It's grease up right here. Normally, I just put grease in this until it starts squirting inside. It's about all you need to do this. You got your camp rollers here. Same thing, you keep greasing these camp rollers. These two start out right here. We got that set there, this set here, and also in the back set here, that you can reach this better, and the fork is tilted back. The fork edge is tilted back if you're standing up on the platform over here. So you can get to the ones back here on this side. You got one on each side and the bottom. And I have a grease gun that I'll show you in a minute, but I'll set it up on, you can set it up on 50 and it'll shoot 50 shots of grease into each one. Should be good enough, for every, I don't know what y'all shifts are, 8 hours, 12 hours. And then you got the ones at the bottom, and you also got two here, one on each side. And those are for your carriage rollers, and it's going up and down. Also down the side with the main mast pivots, you'll have two pins down there that you can reach up in here, and folks, it's should have been 5 or 6 shots of grease, water inside. That's about it there on the maps. And the front part they made for the pin. You can come on right here to this side, you'll see these access holes right here. There's one here, and one here, and they're on both sides of the machine. And you come around here, there'll be see a white line right there. There's a marker. You have to get in here and raise the fork carriage up until the white line on the fork carriage matches that right there. It'll allow you to grease that. You the access to research to the inside mast rollers. Then, like on the fork carriage, you'll pump about 50 shots of grease in those, and that'll be on both sides of the mast, and you'll grease the unit right there. And then up here, you got your fork clips, and it comes in with a pin ball set there. And just right up underneath there on both sides, you'll have a greaser right there. And the easiest way to get to those is, tie off with your lander, climb up here, make sure you got 3 foot contact, climb up, fall from a foot or higher. You tie off, and he can tilt this fork mast back and basically get to that greaser. You can get to those greasers like I was explaining in the front, and you'll be able to get to that greaser right there a lot easier when you stand it up here.
Here is a broken down picture of the forklift mast. In this picture, you can see the grease certs that Richard was talking about in the video. Greasing of all of the grease certs on the forklift is recommended to be completed every 12 hours or both shifts. Always remember to grease your mast and steer axle daily. Day shift is responsible for always greasing the unit. So always make sure that the forklift is greased every day shift. Here is a breakdown of the grease certs on the mast. For the side shift mast rollers, there are 4 grease certs. For the main carriage rollers, there are 4 grease certs. Each of the forks have 2 grease certs located at the top. The fork pin does not need any additional grease. And the flat bottom mast rail, which is where the bend of the fork rests, you want to use a dry grease. Now let's talk a little bit more about the forklift's mast assembly. As you can see here, this is another broken down picture of what the mast assembly looks like and where the grease zerks are located. Again, greasing is recommended to be completed every 12 hours on the entire forklift, or both shifts. As you can see, on the bottom outside rail, there are the two access points that Richard pointed to on the forklift. Now, for the mast assembly, your daily greasing are for the tilt cylinder, which there are two grease zerks, and your main rollers, which there are four. Again, be sure to get both sides of the unit. In this slide here, you can see all of the grease points that are located on the front of the forklift. Please take some time to familiarize yourself with all of the grease points on the front of the forklift. On this slide, you can see a few of the grease points that are located on the front of the forklift. Please take some time to familiarize yourselves with where these are and what they look like. On this slide, you can see a few of the grease points that are located on the front of the forklift. Please take some time to familiarize yourselves with where these are and what they look like.
I'm going to go over some points on starting the machine. You just want to turn the key switch on and cycle it all the way to the start position. It won't start because this machine has a push button start. It allows the screen to power up in the computer and all that stuff to activate. The first screen to pop up is your warning screen. Do not operate unless you're over age 18. Just want to acknowledge that. And if the machine has any fault codes, as soon as you turn the screen on and it goes through the first stage, the faults will pop up here, pretty much instantly. So if you have any fault codes, I just want to contact the local tailor rep to come out and take care of it. But also in this screen right here, you have your forward alarm, which is up here on your mast. And you can turn it, allows you to be able to turn that off and on. Just by pushing the button right there. And then, of course, got all your gauges right here: your depth fluid, your fuel level, your oil pressure, and your coolant temp. Come over in the diagnosis screen and go to engine. You allow you to see your engine hours, and then right here is the service intervals for the machine. We do PM on it every 500 hours. So kind of once in a while, I'll take a look at that, and if getting down close to like 100 hours left on the service, try to contact Taylor, get out and get it serviced again. For the most part, this has got a system on it that lets Taylor know when it needs a service, but sometimes they don't always work, and be good to kind of have a second eye on that. Then you also have right here your power on demand, and what that is that allows you, when you're just using your joystick, it'll rev the engine up without using the foot throttle. So some people like that, some people don't, and you turn it off and on right there. That button right there, that pretty much explains what you would be looking for on the display. Like I said, this has got a push start button. You push that, the machine will start up and run. And you gotta have your seatbelt on before it'll allow you to, put it into any gear, forwards or reverse. You have to have your seat belt on and then release the parking brake. That's pretty much it here in the cab.
A lot of things also we like to look for is got your wheel load nut torque indicator. Just take a look at those when you're walking around doing your normal inspection, daily inspection as a unit. Make sure any loads have beads and they're all pretty much still in the same. Then make sure you don't have any of those broken off. Like that goes for the steer tire. Main thing here you want to look for, make sure you don't have any of these broken off. These don't have the torque indicators like the route does. You're trying to see if we can get them, but you really don't have them because they got this stiff plate like here keeps you from breaking those off if they were bump into the steer tire. We got all of our research steering. We got our steer link right here. There's a greaser right here for that, and I'll usually just pump grease on these until you see it coming out the tops right here. And that's the same as well right here where your kingpin is. Let's pump grease and it'll start coming out the bottom here, and then there's one right directly underneath the machine, and we'll pump grease there until you start to see it coming out right there. And that's the same on both sides of the machine for the steer link. Right here, under here was where your steer axle pivots. There's a block that holds the steer axle in, and there's a greaser that's right down in there. Just pump maybe 5 or 6 shots of grease in there. There's one right there in the back, and then there's one also here in the front. Yeah, as you're walking underneath it. Yeah, there's one right here in the front, same as the one in the back. Right. When you're walking around the machine, checking grease and everything, you just kind of look for hydraulic leaks at steer hoses if you see anything like that leaking, and also sure key weight right here on the steer cylinder. It's good times where the tack weld broke and that key weight worked out right there. And what happens is the bolts will break on the steer cylinder, so it's something to kind of keep an eye on so it doesn't do any further damage if you catch it, in advance.
Now, I want to talk a little bit more about the rear steer axle assembly and the grease points located on it. As you can see, this is another broken down picture of the steer axle assembly. And once again, regular greasing of the entire unit is recommended to be done every 12 hours or both shifts. You can see the 3 grease points on each side of the forklift, as well as the 2 grease points for the pivot block. Always grease these grease certs daily. In addition to your daily greasing, the steer axle assembly will also be greased every 500 hours during the PM service. During that service, they will also grease other things that need to be greased that are in this assembly. The pivot block will also need to be greased daily, so be sure to grease it. Again, that is located on the front and back of the assembly, and there is 1 grease cert per block. Also, as Richard spoke about, be sure to look at the tack welds on the keyway for the steer cylinder. If you notice any cracks in the weld, be sure to report it. Now, with all of these grease certs that we've spoke about in this training, that makes a total of 24 grease certs that need to be greased daily. And again, day shift is always responsible for greasing the unit.
Swing of the unit. This unit here has a pretty wide tail swing that, and I'm, paying attention to areas that you guys are operating on up in the dance floor. A lot of things that you can run into and swing into and get. And I've seen where it run into something that hit it, snap all the steer axle bolts off the wheel, the whole tire. I just fall off, and also inside here there's steer linkages, and seen where those have been snapped off and bent the steer links all up just from swinging and running the unit into things. So it's kind of be cautious of the surroundings when you're steering the machine up on the dance floor. For the main roller for the mask, we're working on getting grease hoses rained down, so that way we'll be able to grease those down steel and then throw the platform. Here you take a glance at that and make sure your hydraulic thing's topped off. That about wraps it up. Thanks. If you have any questions, be sure to call me.